titled, What's Next? Tami Sims.
I was born in Greensburg, Pennsylvania in May of 1964, and my family moved to Florida shortly afterwards. I grew up in Florida, and my childhood I would best be described as boring and ordinary. In fact, fellow Toastmasters, honored guests, the most daring and adventurous thing I ever did as a child was backtalk my mother. Anybody that does this to a 6-year-old girl's hair is a woman not to be messed with. In fact, I did not backtalk my mother very many times, and I waited until the day after I graduated high school to do what I consider my first daring, adventurous thing. The very day after I graduated from high school, I joined the United States Navy. This is a very young Tami. Look at those pudgy cheeks. I don't even know whose cat that is. I went to boot camp in Orlando, about 15 minutes from the house I was currently living in. Then I went to San Diego, California for training in data processing, and then I was stationed in Virginia. I served for 5 years. The last year and a half, I was on the USS Vulcan, yes, that's really its name, AR-5 supply tender. We would pull up next to ships out at sea and refuel them and send cargo over. It was quite the process. And for 8 weeks, I was on the base at Guantanamo Bay. Now, over the years after getting out of the Navy, I had opportunities to do some daring, adventurous things, so I'm going to share a few of them with you. I've taken one cruise outside of the Navy on a ship, and I went to Jamaica and the Cayman Islands, where I swam with stingrays. These are not my legs. This is me in the water with my underwater camera. And for some reason, apparently, I felt the need to kiss the stingray, because that's how daring and adventurous I am. I also went snorkeling during that trip. And for me, this is daring because I grew up in Florida. I've swam in the ocean a lot. I've been bit, stung, nudged. I don't swim with anything or anywhere I can't see what's swimming with me. So for me to go snorkeling in the ocean was a big deal, but look how clear the water was. It was gorgeous. I found this conch. It had a live conch in it. This was one of the instructors on the boat. He took his back to the ship and pulled it out and ate it escargot. I let mine go because, frankly, I was not going to eat a conch shell raw on a ship with a pocket knife, so I avoided that adventure right there. Heights have never been a problem for me, so anytime there's a fair, I have to do the Ferris wheel. The Chicago Ferris wheel on the Navy Pier is one of my favorite. The views are amazing. But I have been on a double Ferris wheel that doesn't take you up twice as high, but it does go up higher than a normal Ferris wheel. And while living in Arizona for a little while, on, I believe, my 35th birthday, a gift was given to me of a helicopter ride, which was one of the scariest things I've ever done. It's a very rocky ride, and when we landed, he got clearance right away, and so he turned, and it was the side that I was on, and I'm like, I'm gonna die on my birthday. So I have done helicopter riding. During a vacation to South Carolina, I have parasailed. Has anybody parasailed? Yes, that is very cool. You're pulled, for those that don't know, by a boat, and then when you get out, they crank it and they lift you up, and I probably got higher than this. Actually, if you can barely see it, I've got one hand off because I am daring and adventurous. I did from the air, which is very quiet once you get up there. You can't even hear the boat. I did see a pool or a pod, whatever they're called, of stingray in the water. We were that far out. I have also, while living in Arizona, traveled to the Grand Canyon. I wanted to take that helicopter ride down into the Grand Canyon, but that previous helicopter ride, I was like, maybe I will skip that. This is me and one of my daughters. That's Caitlin. at the railing. We also were at spots where there was no railing. Then 8 years ago, I met this wild and daring guy, and I became what is technically known as a motorcycle mama. 3 years later, on my 50th birthday, he said, I don't want you on my bike anymore. I'll get you your own. This is Sheila. Sheila and I have been girlfriends for 5 years now. Tried to get my husband, for 8 years, I've been trying to get a dog. My husband says, I don't like the hair, I don't want to vacuum, no dog. Finally talk him into a dog. Okay, if we get a dog, it has to be a pit bull. A pit bull, I mean, I'm daring and adventurous like I'm sharing with you, but a pit bull, this is Ace. He's a teddy bear. He is a big teddy bear. I am a big hockey fan now that I live in Michigan. This is my one and only Facebook Live moment where I actually rode the Zamboni at the Griffins game. I'm talking to people. We didn't have enough time for the video, but here I am on the Zamboni, and that night Jimmy Howard was recovering from an injury and was the goalie. As it says, I'm not zooming in, I touched Jimmy Howard. He may not know it, but I touched Jimmy Howard. And you might not think this next one is daring or adventurous, but it's a big accomplishment, and it meant a lot to me. This was my DTM a few months ago. These are my Toastmaster girlfriends, co-workers forever. Lisa and Jana also DTM. My whole family was there. My husband Dave, my daughter Caitlin, who you saw at the Grand Canyon earlier, and my other daughter who just became a nurse, Sarah. But nothing topped what I did last Friday. Last Friday, ladies and gentlemen, I jumped out of a perfectly good plane. Has anybody else done skydiving? Okay. If anybody wants to go skydiving and you want somebody to go with you, I will go with you. Just saying. So this is the plane, and this is the moment of sheer exhilaration when the door opened and you're looking at the earth, not through a window anymore. This is the tiny little step that right here I am crouched on before I jump out of the plane. This is free falling at 120 miles an hour. And this is, oh my God, the chute opened. This is the best picture I've ever taken of my life. Best hair day. We land, a butt landing. This is at Grand Haven skydiving. Again, I will go with you. This was my tandem. My husband went. He said he'll never do it again. I forgot what it was like to be afraid. He said he hasn't been that afraid in 30 years. So as you can see, I've been daring and adventurous. And frankly, I can't wait to see what is next. Mr. Madam Toastmaster.